Once was, you graduated from high school or college and then you got a job. You had a job for as long as you wanted a career until you retired. Not anymore. More than 13 million Americans are out of work. Ryan, Generation X, those are people 31 to 46 years old. They're the highest earning point in their lives. Can you make the argument that your generation is going to suffer more than the other generations because the financial crisis is hitting right when they should be at their peak?
I mean, well, absolutely. I mean, the bottom line, again, as you said in the beginning, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics it's continuously growing. The technology unemployment rate is about 4.2%, whereas the rest of the unemployment rate is 8.6% nationally. So many of us in Generation X are not necessarily trained in those areas. So we're finding ourselves in terms of the pool and the opportunity of jobs becoming smaller and smaller. So we're scuffling right now, trying to go around, maybe getting retrained, going back to school, and many of us in Generation X are finding refuge in that additional master's program, going back to law school, and not necessarily just to get an education, but just to make sure they can live off of student loans while they continue to just kind of wait out this recession. So, again, we just have to make sure that we're getting retrained, we're getting educated and knowing about those areas that are hottest. But if you're not educated in those areas like science, technology, engineering, mathematics, you're not going to get that job. So it's really up to you to figure out exactly what you can do to prepare and position yourself best for this recession in this hard economy.
You know, John Doggett, if you're a boomer and you're hearing me talk about STEM, and you go around the country talking about STEM, and someone's just lost their job and they're in their 50s, they don't feel like they're in a position to be retraining for STEM after 30 years on the job. How do they reboot? Do they need to reboot?
Well, boomers want to reboot. They need to reboot because they're afraid of retirement now, because in many cases their big nest egg was going to be the equity in their house, and we know what's happened to house equity levels. They've dropped in half. The problem is that if Generation X is having a problem retraining, the boomer generation is having a bigger problem retraining. We really have no choice. Some of us are fortunate, like myself. We work with young people all the time, and so we're very comfortable with technology. But I've seen some of my peers who've never had to work with young people looking at new technology, and they find it very challenging. This is the most frightening time for boomers ever, because many of us thought that we'd be able to retire with dignity and comfort, and what we're finding is that that's just not happening.